was hiding behind her smile. I had a burnout, and then I had my first boy. When he turned 3 and started talking, I just kept on shouting at him. And I was like, okay, that's not his fault because he's only here for 3 years.
Hi, and welcome to the Zen Supermom Podcast. This is the final third interview in the series of 3 with the 3 new Zen Supermom coaches who are unique and specific in a way that they used to be the yelling moms who healed through the Zen Supermom program themselves. Now, this final interview with Sanne is special because Sanne was actually the first one who started all of this kind of like a wave of new face for the Zen Supermom community as such, because she was the first one who asked me actually, well, could I get trained in the way that you are healing the trauma so that I could help other moms, because I believe in this journey so much myself. So this is the story of Sanne. You can go back and listen to the beginning of her story. That's in episode 88, when I interviewed her as a client who was 2 months into the program, who was just like finishing it. You can hear her talk about the results she got back then. And the conversation today, we started right there where we left off the last time, in sharing more about not only the journey Sanne went on afterwards and how she trained as a trauma certified therapeutic coach herself now, but also because I asked her about some specific examples, what's different now and how is she being as a mom, because I want all of my coaches to practice what we preach and what we teach and heal our clients to do. So she shared her specific example on her bedtime routine with her 2 boys. And that was a great opportunity to detangle some normal general misconceptions about what are natural consequences, what are safe, healthy boundaries with kids. Because I can see so much of discussions online about gentle parenting is great, but then you become the people pleaser and you let your kids bulldoze over you and they're so spoiled and they don't respect anybody and they become narcissistic and they become bullies. And then these parents get offended and they fight back against the parents who are too strict and authoritarian, and you're like, school yelling and just you're too strict and you are so rigid in your rules so kids don't feel loved. So where is the healthy middle? How do we do it as parents if we didn't grow up with healthy boundaries and we were punished or bribed or kind of like shamed into obedience to be the good girls or good boys? Where is that healthy middle? And how do you even find it when all of in you is like clashing with all of these judgments and pressure from outside to be a perfect mom? That's why I love this conversation with Sanne so much, because we are going to unpack all of that for you. So let's go. Hear how I talk to Sanne and see what insights you get that are going to help you on your journey. Meet Sanne. Hi, Sanne. So happy to have you here again.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you so much, Alena, for having me.
Hey, everyone. So this is Sanne from episode 88. Isn't that amazing? And now this will be, I think, 160, 61, something like this. Oh my goodness. So it's like really like from halfway all the way till today. And as I will have shared in the intro, today you're not here as a client. What are you here to do today, Sanne?
No, I'm going to be a Zen Supermom coach from now on. So
Exactly. And this is like a full circle for both of us, because I can remember, and let me know if I remember it correctly. We did your first podcast episode. You shared your story that we are just going to briefly remind everybody of who didn't hear it. You shared your story of how you went from not ideal mom to healing mom. I turned off the recording on Zoom and we had a chat. And that's where all the light bulbs went on. And this is exactly why we are talking today, because that chat just unlocked something for both of us. Do I remember it correctly? Was it then?
yes, yeah, it was then. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. No spoiler alert. So the biggest spoiler alert is you're becoming part of my team. But let's unpack it so step by step. Let's start at the beginning, just for anybody who doesn't want to go and listen all the way back to episode 88. Share with us how you started as a mom. What was the problem? Were you yelling? Were you people pleasing? Were you shutting down, freezing, and running away from the kids? What was happening?
To be honest, all of the above.
Yeah, it's always the case usually.
Yeah, it was certainly when I had a burnout, and then I had my first boy, and yeah, he was just my blessing. And but when he turned 3 and started talking, I just kept on shouting at him, and I was like, okay, that's not his fault because he's only here for 3 years. It can't be his fault. And then I started searching parenting stuff and everything online, but nothing really worked. Already had done some
Therapy you were doing before
therapy
as
and
well.
everything before, but that didn't work either. So I was like, and then you popped up suddenly at Instagram, and I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a try. And in a couple of weeks, I already noticed a difference with my boy, that he was not afraid to tell me what he was feeling, and he said, "You're lots less angry than before, Mama," and that kind of thing. So I noticed a big change, and I don't have a job. I didn't have a job at that time, and I was looking for my purpose, or a new purpose. And so after the episode, I was just like, it was just a hinge, like, okay, I need to ask Alena if I can join our team. And then you said yes. So okay, I was like, okay, that's good.
It made my wheels turn because up until that moment, I was employing, I was hiring professional coaches with like decades, multiple decades of experiences and so many methods and techniques and so much experience. And they are great. But the fact that you opened up this possibility, I didn't even think about it, that someone would want to change their career to do this. And when you asked, I was like, oh my goodness, that would be so amazing. How could we make that happen? So I immediately started thinking, well, what kind of certifications, what kind of training you would need to go through so that even without 20 years of coaching experience, you would be a safe trauma coach, and that you would not only like give the healing results to the client, but also you wouldn't burn out in the process, right? Because as
Mm.
somebody coming out of a burnout and with high people pleaser and like all of these trauma coping mechanisms, also I wanted to make sure it would be safe for you. So that's when the wheels started turning, and I was like, oh my goodness, we are coming to a new phase. Like the program is breeding our own coaches, and this is how the cycle of healing continues and spreads and the ripple effect goes. So this was so exciting. Yeah, I can still remember that.
Yeah, great.
Beautiful. Let's I would still go and share a little bit more about your story, because for moms who will be working with you in a few weeks as Zen Supermom clients, I want them to hear how bad it was. Like, of course,
Mm.
always you shared so openly before already in the podcast episode, but I want to illustrate how it's not always like 100% straightforward where the anger or where that burnout is coming from, because there are still so many moms out there who are thinking, well, I'm burned out because I have a lot of pressure at work. Yes, I'm yelling because my kids are not listening. So it's like it's their fault. It's the fault of my world and my life. So how was your processing? What did you get to healing?
I noticed that I got triggered by my trauma. So not by my actual son, but by what my body remembered from when I was young. So that was the reason why I noticed that it wasn't from him, but from me. And after going through the course, I noticed there was much more than I expected to dig up, and sometimes some things came to the surface that didn't even remember or didn't even know about myself. And yeah, after going through that, it was just so clear that there are so many layers to go through in your life, to every time you get triggered, there is something else to work on. And some people just think, okay, I'm going in therapy, and then it's poof, it's magic and it's gone. And it's not the way it works, because you have to work yourself as well. You have to, with this program, you just have to do your homework, because your homework is the therapist or the coach can do only a little bit, and the rest is your job to work on. And the combination um, of the mental fitness plus the therapy, the coaching sessions were just the right combination to know, okay, this is my pattern. This is what I want to. Okay, this is what I always do. Why do I do that? Why do I have to shout at my 3-year-old, now 6-year-old? Why do I have to do that? Why can I not be a grown up, and can I uh, um, make sure my emotions are not hurting him?
Yeah.
That was the most important thing for me. So, and yeah, I noticed that every single day that there's another, of course, there's always a layer. There's another layer that will be the rest of our lives. It will be, there will be a layer. But as long as it's not an obstacle that
And
will, yeah, that's an obstacle, or you don't know what to do, how to deal with it at that moment. That's the main thing. Then, yeah, you run smoothly if you know how to deal with those situations. You run smoothly. So, and sometimes you just have to catch yourself and think, okay, this was not really the way to do it. So let's apologize, and let's take full responsibility for your actions, and let your
and
kids know that you're just human and just doing the best you can, and still learn every day, single day.
and learn from it and coach yourself, because this is the key difference of why I try to design the method differently than what classic therapy is, because there you have to keep going for weekly sessions for years and decades, still having no idea, like not getting any practical tools on how to deal with it in the moment. While what we do, and what I'm teaching all of our coaches to do as well, to implement, is to do the basic like layer, as you were talking about it, like do the healing in the session, but then very transparently tell the client exactly what you did in the session with them, and give them the tools to practice. That's what you mentioned, is like the homework. That's the practice they need to be doing several times a day, every day. It's little, it takes few seconds at a time, but it has to be done. And that's the responsibility. Exactly. You're not the victim of your life, but you need to take accountability for a healing, because once you get the tools, then you can work through any layers that will come later on, because they will come, exactly as you're mentioning, as your kids are growing up. Like my daughter is now 8, and she's growing up, she's going through different stages and different situations. I keep being reminded of my childhood, and my stuff keeps coming out, because there are things I forgot what I was doing, how I was feeling when I was 8, but I'm reliving my childhood through her. So absolutely, I love it that you're mentioning it, Sanne, because there will be new things, like new memories coming up, but we know what to do with it. And this is exactly what we're teaching our clients to do. I was just wondering if you could be a little bit more specific for anybody who was listening to you about your trauma and patterns. Could you share some example, like what was the root of your anger specifically?
Being the good girl for my whole life. So looking after each other, looking after others mainly, tuning in on their emotions, what walking on eggshells, just I'm I'm a master in just looking at somebody and like, okay, they are after me. so that's my whole life. So I'm the one who always um um hi, was hiding behind her smile. um I still smile a lot because I love my life, but it's very genuine now. It's not okay, I'm hiding everything and I'm, a poker face or something like that. It's more like I'm really happy with the way everything goes now. And if I'm angry, then I'm just angry. And if I'm sad, I'm just as sad. There's nothing so it's pretty amazing to show all those emotions without fear. And I used to I was really scared of what other people would think of me. And I made that, like, I was playing a part. I was acting like, okay, I need to be a certain way to be appreciated by somebody else. So if I show my light too much and somebody doesn't like me, then I have to dim myself. I have to make myself smaller. And I don't do that anymore. I just shine my light and then I see who's blinded and then I give them sunglasses. So
And I love it so much. Let me unpack that for anybody who's sitting there and who's like, what? Did she just say trauma? Being a good girl is a trauma? Being like highly empathetic person is a trauma? Yes, my dear, it's called intergenerational developmental trauma. That's the exact term. And those are the symptoms. Yeah. And I love it that you're mentioning like putting on a big bright smile on your face. That was the facade you were hiding behind, because that's the kind of toxic positivity that I see a lot as well. Moms who are telling me like there's part of them that makes them want to listen to my podcast episodes. But then when I try to engage in some conversations and I send out emails like, and is it you? And do you need help? They're like, no, it's not me. I'm not yelling. I'm such a positive person. And I'm like, whoa, 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 zero judgment. But hey, girl,
mm,
like, let's talk, because this is exactly what you're talking about. You're hiding behind a facade. And it might be your strength that you are naturally positive person who always wants to make the best out of everything. But if you're using it for the
true.
fear of making people upset and not liking you, if you're dimming your light, that beautiful metaphor you used, that's a trauma symptom. I'm sorry, but yes, it's childhood trauma, and we are not here to throw our parents under the bus. They did the best they could, but they imprinted something on you. If you're not careful, you will be imprinting something on your kids, pushing them to behave and be good kids so that they earn your love and they feel worthy. So I love it that you mentioned it. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's fast forward. So, how are you doing today, perfectly imperfect Zen Supermom? Do you have any
Yeah, most
example, like some specific example with your kids? Like how is it? How is it different? Because that's what I'm always saying. Like I'm not putting anybody on pedestal, not myself. I'm not requiring my coaches to be like ultimately perfect and never making any mistakes as moms. No, this is part of us showing up as humans and saying, yes, we screw up sometimes, but we don't keep screwing up, apologizing, screw up, apologize, screw up, apologize. And it's like every day the same thing. No. So, how are you being now as a mom?
I noticed that I'm much more calm, but still I get triggered sometimes because my boy is now 6 years old and this is a real different stage than before. And I noticed that I was probably trying to rebel a little myself when I was 6. So he's trying me out very often. But what I noticed the most is that I catch myself earlier. So I still sometimes lose it, of course, because nobody's perfect, and I'm not perfect either at all. So but now I notice it, and I say to him, okay, this is not going to happen again. I'm learning. I'm sorry about this. I'm learning. I'm still learning. And um, I'm sorry if I made you cry or made you feel hurt or something like that, or you couldn't express yourself to me because I was too busy or something like that, cooking dinner or something like that. They always need you at cooking dinner, and then suddenly everything needs to be done all at once, and that's one main trigger for me. That there's one little boy grabbing your leg, the other one is mommy, 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 look at me, look at me, look at me. But I catch myself earlier, and then I think, okay, take a deep breath and most of the time something happens during cooking dinner, so somebody hurts himself or something like that, then I just put down the stove and then sit with them. I used to just think, okay, just scream it out, and I'll ignore it because I need to finish dinner. But now I change it round constantly. Like, okay, now I switch the stove off and we eat later. This is more important now. So it's really easy for me to decide what is more important.
Yeah. And I love that. Let's have that discussion because I can hear it a lot. And also, I see it in the comments on my reels and like my sharing podcast episodes on social media. There are lots of parents who are getting in fights with each other where there are parents who don't want to yell, but then they become too permissive. Kind of like the
Hmm.
kids are bulldozing all over them. So then there are parents who are the advocates of that like strict discipline, who would have told you, exactly, Sanne, beautiful. Don't stop cooking the dinner because kids need to learn their place. So, how do you navigate that gentle balance between boundaries and unconditional love?
Depends on what is happening. But if somebody, I mean, if they're just shouting like "mommy, mommy, look at me," then it's more like, okay, give me 10 minutes, then the dinner is ready, and I'll be right with you, and I can have a look at you. But if somebody is hurt, then it's stove off, and see who needs me at that moment, and who's bleeding or hurt himself.
Yeah.
So that's much easier for me now. Needed to, it was more like, okay, I'm supposed to make dinner. So this is my duty now. So I need to fix this now because they have to be in bed on time or something like that. I don't do that often anymore. I still have rules like, okay, 7:30 is we're trying to get them in bed 7:30 and lights off and everything. Sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah, that's okay too, So it's more less strict, but still what was for me the most difficult was that I always thought that um natural consequence was a punishment. So every time I had a natural consequence, I was like, okay, this feels like I'm punishing them. But I thought, no, they need this. They need this in order to be able to live in this world, because otherwise they will be all over the place. And so I really needed to learn that about that natural consequences, that is normal, that it's normal to have emotions, that you are allowed to say, or like, I'm feeling really angry right now and I really don't like this situation, but I don't want to take it out on you. So I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to do my PQ reps, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes,
Yeah.
and then we start over. So,
Yeah.
and yeah.
I love that. And also because of what you mentioned about the routines. Because the morning routines and the bedtime routine, I noticed these are the two most stressful for parents because in the morning you're running out of time. In the evening, you're running out of energy. You're like, oh my goodness, just go to sleep so that I can rest and I can finally, like, after the marathon of the whole day. So, what I love in what you're sharing is that this will speak to moms who are having controlling trauma coping mechanism tendency, because for them holding tight to that routine strictly is like the survival line. And whenever kids interject and something happens and the routine and timeline goes out of the window, the moms like lose the ground from underneath their feet and they completely panic and they're trying to grab onto it, like exactly as you said, like I need to finish cooking this dinner because then there's step this, like then it's shower, then it's bedtime story, and then you're going to sleep. So if I delay the dinner, everything else delays, and oh my goodness, and I'm not going to have my time for myself before I need to go to sleep and do it all over again tomorrow. And it's just such a that's a burnout. That's very heavy, stressful emotion and place to be in. So I love in what you were sharing is that there is a gentle balance between that you're able to have the flexibility while holding the boundaries, because we are, please, anybody, any gentle parenting haters, we are not advocating here that you should just like drop all your boundaries whenever your kids are clingy, just let go of any rules and just give them the sweets and spend 1 hour watching a movie with them. We are not saying that, right, Sanne? But the fact that you are making your boys feel that they are the most important thing in the world in the evening when they are tired, they're hungry, they're full of their emotions, they missed you the full day, and you're able to turn off the stove and basically indicate to them, you guys are the most important for me right now. Nothing matters more than you. And you're doing it in like, I don't want to say like carefully, but you are very conscious about when you do that, not to indulge and spoil them, but you do it in strategically chosen moments so that that message lands for them, and so that you break that generational trauma of us, as most of us grew up feeling probably, we are not important enough. Because for my mom, it was more important to cook and clean. And only then if she had any time left, she gave me some of her attention, right? That's how we grew up feeling we are not important enough. There's always something more important and urgent than us and giving us attention. So this is a beautiful example, and thank you so much for bringing it up, Sanne, in how you're breaking that generational cycle of the trauma of not feeling good enough for our moms to show us the love. Yeah.
Yeah. And with the bedtime routine, I try to teach my 6-year-old now, like, okay, you want to play, but I understand, but in a half an hour, the lights are off. So there is no bedtime reading anymore then, because you choose playing or do you choose reading a book? And he loves reading, so most of the time he thinks like, okay, this is not a good idea. And he was a couple of days ago, he was testing me like, okay, is she going to keep that boundary or what is she going to do? So he kept on playing and running around, and his 3-year-old brother follows him everywhere. So if he starts running around, the 3-year-old runs after him, and I can't get them to bed. So I say, okay, look at the clock. You can see the time now. So just look at the clock. And then he at 7:30 the lights went off, and he was like, "Yeah, we need to read a book." I said, "Yeah, tomorrow." And
Natural
then he was
consequences.
of course he was crying, and I said, "Yeah, baby, this is the whole idea of a natural consequence, because every time you decide, I give you a choice and you took the other one. And now you think, okay, that was not really a good idea. Maybe you can choose tomorrow to go upstairs and read a book with me." It's like, yeah, that's
I
it's
love it.
probably a good idea.
Let's just detangle that very quickly, because for so many moms, especially those who are struggling with the controlling trauma pattern, this will be an eye opener. Because what you're describing here is giving your kid a choice and giving that choice in advance out of a calm, grounded place. So you did not do that because he was already running around and you were getting angry. So you wanted to punish him by withdrawing the story. No, you said that way up front in a calm, grounded energy. You gave him the choice, which, by the way, if anybody out there is struggling with power fights with your kids, that they are trying to like bribe you, negotiate, or they are trying to defy you or misbehave, don't listen, don't follow the routines, it's often because they don't feel enough control, that they don't have a say, they don't have any choice. So you giving a choice is basically neutralizing any of this before it even happens. And then the natural consequence is delivered again with beautiful, grounded, loving energy. Like, yeah, I get it, you're upset. I completely get it why you're crying, but this is the consequence of your decision. It was your decision. So you're not there standing like the mom. Like before I did my healing, I felt this way. I felt like I was mean to my daughter, kind of like telling her, you see, like, no, 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 that this was your choice. And so suck it up because you did it. And I'm like delivering with that anger of the hurt child in me. Like, how dare you choose playing over spending, like reading with me because I love reading with you. And so it means you chose to play. And so it means you don't love me enough. So suck it up now. And it's good you're crying because it's your fault. And so good night. And like, I am over dramatizing. But that's what the inner child in me before I healed her, that's what she felt like. I felt like adding salt to the wound, like making my daughter suffer for her choices. And I was being so mean with this energy of a hurt kid in me. So, how you beautifully demonstrated that, Sanne, you're delivering the natural consequence with totally like the opposite, the loving energy. Like, I get it, it sucks. And so,
Sometimes I
tomorrow,
don't. Sometimes I just lose it, and then I make it up later because then
yeah,
I think,
that's
okay, this
okay.
was a hard day for me, and
Yeah.
then I just lose it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm just human.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm
that's totally okay.
yeah.
But you're able to do this most of the times, and you have the tools to stay grounded and not be like that vindictive little kid yourself. You can be grounded and just share with your son, like, yeah, and tomorrow you will have the choice again, and that's
Yeah.
okay. And that's what helps them see that you're not upset. This is not a punishment. We never use consequences as a punishment because that would backfire. That would make you like the police controlling mom even more. You're sharing that with unconditional love and like, okay, tomorrow you'll have another choice. So I hope this will help some moms who are struggling with the control and power fights with kids and or bedtime routines, because this is a beautiful illustration and example of what natural consequences are and what how thin the line is between punishment and boundaries and like healthy boundaries and natural consequences. Yeah.
And you can hear it from your own voice. If you start nagging, then you know that there's a smaller child in you that comes out. That's one of the reasons that you know exactly that it's not you as an adult, it's just your inner child that is hurting at that moment.
And
And
that's
like
exactly
if
the
you say
part.
like the nagging or the like that, then you know, okay, this is a smaller version of me that needs some some guidance and some love from me in order to serve my boys. That's the main thing, I think. That's
Yeah.
one of the patterns that I saw myself doing, that I changed into a small girl myself.
Yeah,
So
and that's exactly the healing we are doing in the program, and that you will be doing now with the clients who will be working with you. So
yeah,
everybody get
exciting.
excited, especially if you were just assigned to Sanne and now you know her story, and now you know there will be 100% compassion, 0% judgment because she's working on it. We are all walking our talk. Nobody on my team is being like a fake, pretentious, like, I'm here to preach and just take these steps and it'll be okay. And at home, we are doing the opposite. No, we are all practicing everything. We are coaching, teaching, and healing inside because it freaking works. So you're welcome. Excellent. Thank you so much, Sanne. We could chat
Thank
here
you.
for all day, but we need to stop it at some point. Let's finish this way. Let's wrap it up. Is there anything that you wanted to mention? Any message you have for your future clients that you're going to work with inside the Zen Supermom program? Is there anything or any message you have for somebody who's at the beginning of their journey?
That there are a lot of ups and downs, and that you just have to trust the process, because in the end you will benefit from it, and that ripple effect that you have afterwards on your children is worth it. So if you feel like this is not going to work, just hang on there and practice, and make sure you do all the homework that you get from your coaches, or your coach in that case. And yeah, it's just a process. So you will there's a lid on all the stuff that you got from that you've never seen before, and then you open that lid and then there's all kind of stuff coming up. But in the end, you notice that there are patterns and there is a way out. And just trust the process and believe in yourself, because you already have it in you. You were born with it already. So it was just a way to survive this world and to survive everything that you've been through. That was the coping mechanisms. That was all. You just have to let it flow and practice. That's all.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Sanne. And for anybody getting all the way till the end of this podcast episode, it means you already have what it takes. You have the courage, you have the commitment. You're not looking for a quick fix, just like, hey, I don't want to listen to half an hour of some podcast episode. Just give me the 3 tips what to say to my kids during the bedtime routine so that they go to bed and they don't annoy me. Duh, if it was as easy. Like, no, there's more to it. And the fact that you're sitting through or listening through a podcast episode like that tells me you have what it takes. So we are so excited to have you. And thank you so much, Sanne, for sharing your story, to showing like really how
for
it
having
looks
me.
like. Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah.
So excited for the months and years to come. Yep.
Me too.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sanne. And
Thank
thank you, curious Zen Supermom or Super Dad. Thank you for being with us and being so open to starting to dig in you and starting to look at your own triggers, maybe in a different way. Thank you for the courage and thank you for the trust in us. I'm going to see you in the next episode of the Zen Supermom Podcast.